I would share with other type 1 diabetic support teams that try to learn what they need and how they need it and just understand where they come from on pretty much everything diabetes-wise. And, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I feel like that was what helped me understand, was that I was like, well, he would explain or he would inject himself. And I'm like, well, why did you inject yourself then? Mm-hmm. Like just asking, like if they're okay with sharing with you. But obviously, I think just knowing when and why you did stuff was just super helpful in understanding like how you manage your type 1. Everyone manages everything differently. So that's why it's helpful to understand what's personal to them and what their goals with type 1. Not everyone has the same goals too. Mm-hmm. I think learning their goals really helps you put in perspective, okay, well, what's important? Like, is their food important? I would recommend that you really give them the space to let them do whatever they need to do. You have already had so much pressure, so much things to calculate always, so many things you're thinking about. You have like 17 timers all at the same time. You needed a space and an energy that I was there with you. Yeah. But you knew that you could do whatever you needed to do to like manage and get it done.
Welcome to the T1 Determined podcast, where we bridge the conversation of type 1 diabetes and endurance. I'm Joseph Anthony Marcello, an endurance athlete and a mountaineer. As someone living with T1D, I'm on a mission to uncover and share science-backed information that drives optimal performance and longevity. And as a storyteller, I'm here to explore and share incredible feats in T1D sports physiology. Let's tackle this together. Today, I sit down with my wife, Katerina Marcello. As someone who does not live with type 1 diabetes, Katerina represents those who are still affected by T1D, encountering it daily as a support system. Together, we recount our recent ascent of Kilimanjaro at 19,341 feet, the tallest mountain in Africa. In early 2026, we trekked via the Machame Route on a 7-day journey to the summit, Uhuru Peak. Having been married recently that November, we indeed did this as our honeymoon. As we build this podcast from the ground up, your support is crucial for our continued growth. Wherever you're listening, please share this episode and others with anyone you think might benefit. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at T1D_endurance, and on Facebook and YouTube at T1 Determined. And visit our website, T1Determined.net. Please also like and subscribe, and you can leave up to a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Before we dive in, the topics discussed and the recommendations shared by myself and our guests are personal experiences and not medical prescriptions. Always consult your healthcare team and medical professionals before making any changes to your daily routines, management, or therapies. And now, my conversation about climbing Kilimanjaro with Katerina Marcello. You ready?
No.
Okay. Katerina, my love, welcome to the T1 Determined podcast. I am very excited that you're joining today. I was just saying this is unique to record a podcast episode with somebody that I'm so close to. It feels a little weird, but also exciting at the same time.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You are also the first person on the podcast, a podcast about type 1 diabetes that does not have type 1 diabetes, but you're directly affected by a condition that you do not have. So let's start off kind of with an introduction about who you are, and then transition quickly into how you learned from when we first started dating, how you learned about type 1 diabetes, and over the time, how you got acquainted to it. I can imagine that's a huge progression. And there was probably a lot of transformation, evolution that you found out more over the years. But let's start off with basically how little you knew about the condition before meeting me, and then how that transformed into what you know today, with a little bit of a backstory about you as well.
I'm Katerina, and I am from the Boston area, born and raised. And I work in marketing for an architecture and engineering firm currently, and met the lovely Joseph many, many, many years ago. And really, I first became acquainted with type 1 truly was through him. I knew of what type 1 was roughly. I just knew it was a chronic condition that was, irreversible. And I knew that the type 1s that I knew of were sick a lot, had a lot of other complications, and it was like a hard condition. I really didn't know too much about type 1, really, until I met you.
Yeah, so it's like you didn't know a lot about that it's actually an immune system attacking the pancreas, or essentially, I mean, it's kind of funny that you say that because it's a lot like us who, if type 1's not in your family, like it was for me when I got diagnosed, I didn't really know much about it until I had it. So it seems like a very, very similar, but you don't have that condition. So I can imagine that it's a unique perspective watching it and not having it.
It is. It makes you really appreciate the health that you do have. And I feel like it really makes you appreciate not appreciate, maybe it's not the right word, but understand the mental load that you carry, because that's something I don't have to carry. And it's like something that you can really see.
To that extent, type 1 is a condition that also does affect the mind. So when there are mood swings that are controllable, not uncontrollable, not to say I have a lot of mood swings, but there are days where type 1 does affect me emotionally. That's not only my load, that's also your load. So it's interesting because you're not directly affected by it, but you still do carry a load,
Mm-hmm. It's a different load, though.
What is that load like?
It has changed over time. That load has changed over time. As a supporter, I think when I didn't know much about type 1, it was more scary. It was more of a stress that I can't control anything, or I can't fully help you when you need help, because I couldn't really understand what you needed. I think as I learned more about type 1 and how your body reacts to things and how you react to things and how you control your type 1, I've been able to develop my own strategies in ways, and how I've shifted how I hold that mental load too, because it's different.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I can tell you just from before we started dating, the condition was completely different. I'd like to compliment you first off by saying my type 1 management never got so, in the best way possible, disciplined, rigid, and better until we started dating. And I think you took the time to really learn about, on our first couple of dates, you said that you took notes on type 1 diabetes, but you took the time to understand how it affects me. And as a type 1 diabetic, that's so crucial, because before you, I love my family, but I didn't have people who tried to understand me at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was low, I'll admit, and I'll go on record in saying, people in my life would at first be like, when I was low and I was feeling horrible and I was shaking, and this happened the first couple times and I had no idea what a low was because I was just diagnosed, the first question I got all the time is, why are you low? Why are you low? Why are you low? And that got imprinted into my mind in a very negative way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came along, and every time I went low, you did something very unique and special. You just sat there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you didn't even speak, and you just let me feel it. And just knowing somebody was with me on that level of support was life-changing, because look at how that transformed into the life that we live now today.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on just over the years, how your lifestyle with me managing this condition has changed and progressed?
My personal lifestyle?
Yeah.
I think I have grown as you've developed how you've managed your type 1 and you've changed your diet and you've figured out what works. I have just been like following right there next to you, changing how my diet works and whatever is easiest for you, because in the end of the day, you are the one then that has to carry. It doesn't matter what I eat. I mean, it does, but it doesn't personally affect how I sleep that night if I eat the wrong thing. It doesn't personally. I don't feel worse by eating one thing. I mean,
at least not to the extent of type 1 diabetes.
Exactly. So for me, I loved eating healthy. I love healthy foods. I like feeling good after I eat. And whatever you went along with, more grains, less grains this time, different kinds of grains, eat in a certain way, at a certain time, they all made me feel just as good too. So I've just adapted with you. And it's made me healthier also.
I think, and we're going to get into this because obviously we have a huge objective that we already completed, and that's what we're here to talk about today. But I believe exactly what you described allowed us, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm speaking for us, but I think it allowed us to find or are finding or working towards our life that we want, to achieve the goals that we want.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I also think, we're still able to do our own things. I don't always 100% eat exactly like you do. If I want pasta for dinner, I'm going to have pasta for dinner. But
giant ice cream cake for your birthday.
I also think when you're eating chocolate at midnight, I'm not going to eat chocolate at midnight. So it's we're doing our own thing, but still doing it together. And just having to adapt. I think for some people, it feels very overwhelming at first to completely change your lifestyle so drastically. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, it really isn't that big of a deal to just make a separate grain and make 2 different meals.
Yeah, and that's what we do, just so the audience is aware at night, just so I know exactly how many carbs from the get-go, because I mean, we could make, for example, a whole bowl of farro if we're both eating farro, and then divide it in half, and I can still count the carbs, but I like to be so precise that we actually cook 2 different pots of the same grain. And that allows us to portion it out both so we know exactly how many carbs you're both eating. Not that you need to know how many carbs you're eating, but you just have a 1/4 cup. I usually have a 1/2 cup. And we're that precise, and it's an extra pot, and it takes an extra, 15 seconds to wash. But it's that much better comfort-wise, and I see a direct effect in my trends.
Yeah.
What a symbolic statement you just made. That definitely can be correlated with marriage. So before we dive into the big name, the big buzzword Kilimanjaro, let's talk about marriage first. I don't know, man. The wedding was the best day of my life. We have a wedding video that I'm currently editing. It's not out yet. We've been insanely busy renovating a house, but not to get into too much detail about our life, but let's talk a moment about the wedding. There is a lot of coldness to it that prepared us for Kilimanjaro, but there was a lot of excitement to it. So what did you think about the wedding day? I hope good stuff. But was it the best day of your life too, as it was mine?
I would love to see a video also.
Coming soon. It's just like Disney when the release date keeps on getting pushed back.
It was also the best day of my life. It was perfect. It was beautiful. There was so much love everywhere. It's just such a happy day. It really is. It was so beautiful. Everything happened as it should. There was no stress. There was no worry. It was just bliss. And it was like all of our favorite people. And I just got to spend the whole night with you, and everyone was staring at us. It was great.
That's one piece of advice that we got from your friend, Jess, that she told us not to let go of each other's hands and make sure that we are right by each other the whole night. And I thought that was a wonderful piece of advice because we were surrounded by all of our family and friends, and every single one of them wanted to talk to us, which is amazing. But if we got caught up in an Italian family conversation that could go on for hours and hours, we'd miss the time spending with each other. So we did a good job balancing that and staying with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely stressed out for the dance. We had a choreographed dance.
He did wonderful. It was beautiful. Would love to still see a video, but that's
coming soon. Coming soon. We got a lot coming soon, including the documentary about our climb on Kilimanjaro. So let's dive into that. Kilimanjaro was indeed our honeymoon. How crazy of a concept, looking back now, having completed it, is that to you?
It is not crazy at all. Looking back now, I am like, yeah, I'm so glad we did that. Of course we did that. Like, it was really cool. It was like the coolest thing I think we've ever done.
Talk to me about, and we can bounce off of each other a little bit. Did it feel like a honeymoon? I'm going to paint the scene. We've been on an airplane for 20-something hours at this point. We are exhausted, but we're still excited. We end up in Tanzania, and we're driving for 2 hours with Willie, our driver. It's about 1 a.m., and then we get to what we're staying at for the first 2 nights, Machame Farm, which is a coffee farm, and we arrive at 3 a.m. in the pitch darkness, and we're in a foreign country, and we're in the jungle portion of around Kilimanjaro. And we're exhausted. We've been up for almost a full day, and we have to walk, I believe, almost a half mile in the woods through a trail at night in a jungle where we know there's predators to get to the point where we're going to stay at for the next 2 nights with a bunch of people who are the kindest people on the planet, but we still didn't know. So what was that like?
Honestly, I was so tired. You knew you should be concerned, but we weren't because we were so tired, and we were like, yeah, okay, we'll follow you. We'll follow you into these dark woods with we have no idea who you are. You don't speak English. Maybe you're gonna lead us to a nice hut where we can sleep.
Maybe you won't. I think that was the point where I was like, what company did we sign that up with? Or I want to make sure, did I do enough vetting? And then all of a sudden we made it. And again, everybody there was so nice and wanted to talk us through the plans at 4 a.m. when we wanted to sleep at that point. And then you woke up the next morning at Machame Farm.
Yes.
How was the farm?
It was beautiful. We specifically woke up to torrential downpour of avocados raining on our metal roof from monkeys dropping them on our roof. Sounded like the wildest thing was happening. Kind of scary, but monkeys really like avocados.
I think somebody was telling us that they were throwing some at each other too.
I believe it. The farm was so lovely. It was so pretty. It was an organic farm that just had everything growing everywhere. Just like any place they could find a spot to put a plant, there was an edible plant. It was so cool.
Yeah, they grew everything there that they needed to feed the whole family. I think they had multiple families living on that farm.
And it was a self-sustaining farm where they kind of planted things together too. They had pineapple here, but mixed in with something else, and then they had the corn mixed with the beans, and they were all crossed together. They weren't just only a row of corn, only a row of pineapples, only a row of coffee, but they were all intertwined.
So, and I think the theory was one person can go out to a section of the farm and still get everything that they need while not touching the other section of the farm. Go out for that day.
Yeah.
It's a cool concept because, I mean, like you said, over here, it's my grandfather's garden, there was a section of tomatoes, there was a section of zucchini, there was a section of lettuce, section of carrots, and it was all segregated, but over there is kind of meshed all together.
Yeah.
What about the coffee?
The coffee was incredible as an avid coffee drinker, as we are. That was the coolest thing for them to be we just picked this right here from this bush, and we're going to go make our coffee. right here. We can just do that in a pan, roast it right here by hand, and then sift it, and then grind it, and then sift it, and then grind it, and then just pour water over it, and then you have coffee. Like, it was just kind of crazy.
It was. And they were telling me that at night, this is when they would grind the coffee. It was after dinner, so they got like a little workout after dinner.
It was just, the funny that you thought of that as a workout. I thought of it as a lovely bonding experience with your family. But of course,
Well, I
it's
was
a
thinking from the
workout.
type 1 perspective, it could blunt the blood sugar spike post-dinner.
And I was thinking that that's a lovely time to hang out with your family. And they like would pass it around, and like one person would be grinding, and then they pass to the next person, and they would just talk about the day and share stories. And I thought that was so nice.
And the rule was if you didn't participate, you didn't get coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
So good motivation.
Like incentives.
I do. Now, before we step foot on Kilimanjaro, what did Kilimanjaro mean to you? What was your perspective of Kilimanjaro? Because clearly, from our listenership that knows me now at this point, it seems like an objective that is related to me. And it was my idea for the honeymoon. I was just like, you said, let's go to Africa. I said, we're going to Africa. We're climbing Kilimanjaro. And then here we were on the base of Kilimanjaro. At that point, what was your thoughts about how this would go?
I was never as nervous about Kilimanjaro as probably I should have been. I feel the whole time I was just on this really cool trip, an adventure, and all I had to do was just follow you up the mountain and I'd be good. And that was kind of my concept like the whole way. And that it was this mountain that would be hard, it would be difficult, it wouldn't be easy, but I feel like I was never worried anything would go wrong. I was not worried that I wouldn't make it. I was not worried. If anything, as we got close to the top, I was more concerned that we would have a bad weather window or something, be really bad winds, and like they would be like, sorry, you can't go. Not because of whatever, because of the weather or something. Like it's something out of our control.
Were you concerned at all about my type 1 management on the mountain?
I kept it in the back of my mind of like, maybe just, did he bring enough? But I knew he would bring enough. More so just, I was more concerned that he would be too hard on himself and that it wouldn't be like he would go low or really high, and it wouldn't be that extreme, but he would personally just be mad at himself.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I like being precise, especially when traveling across the world, making sure that I have all the supplies that I need. I also my threshold for my tight blood sugar control changes.
I do think the one thing I was worried about in terms of your type 1 was the food we were eating.
Yeah,
and how,
that's a very good point.
And we have traveled in the past before, and I know restaurant food is not the easiest to measure, and traveling can be really hard. I know diets are different everywhere, so I wasn't sure what the African diet looked like, if we were going to even have African food, or if we were going to have like Americanized food, which also isn't as great either. So I was that's the only portion that I think I was.
And I think leading up to the mountain, so the plan was for me to bring bulgur, which is a complex carbohydrate. And I could bring the package with me. I brought multiple packages with me, so that could be my complex carb that I had for performance-wise. And then my thought was to have simple, not seasoned meat, because I mean, we can go down the sidetrack or we cannot go down the sidetrack, but the food that they brought to the dinner table at Mambahe Farm and then on the mountain was pristine. All of the meals we had a cook with us who specialized. He went to culinary school in Russia and sent back. Thoughts about, there's a lot of Russian influence on the mountain, but we're not going to get into that here. But he was very well trained and very talented. And so we were you said the way that I handle this condition at restaurants, it's hard to judge the amount of carbohydrates, especially when I have such a strict routine with what I take into my body. We were eating restaurant level food on this mountain. and we'll talk about more about the start and the hiking and the terrain, but let's talk about the food for a second, is like the food here, it was very difficult to count the carbohydrates. Yes, it was a lot healthier. It wasn't an American restaurant where we had a lot of fats and salts and preservatives thrown into the mix. It was a lot healthier food, but it was still very hard to count the carbohydrates.
Best food I've ever eaten. It was so good, so fresh. Kiplet, our chef, was just a master. The fact that he was able to cook to that level in a small little cook tent with whatever little he had. Unbelievable. It was so delicious. I could talk this whole episode just about the food. I won't. But the other thing I think was hard was the language barrier in they really wanted you to eat a lot of food. We were burning a lot of calories. We were doing a lot of stuff at high elevation, and we were moving. And I think we weren't eating during the day, really. It was, we would have maybe
like
a
trail
snack.
snacks,
So they were really pushing breakfast and dinner, like foods. And basically they would make a lot of food and it'd be really too much for two people, to be completely honest. And they were like, please keep eating, please keep eating. And I was like, I don't think I can eat anymore. And you were like, I physically can't. Like I cannot consume food right now.
Yeah.
And or you didn't understand the concept of like, well, hold on, like I'll save this because maybe in an hour I can maybe eat this.
Yeah.
But they didn't really understand that either. So there was definitely a language barrier in understanding.
I think, and not to go down that rabbit hole, but I think to that point, there is a difference in understanding of the condition in general. And this is a bigger problem in the world where I'm a huge advocate for education. Knowledge is power, especially with type 1 diabetes. But just the word diabetes in general, there is less education outside of Western culture. We were having a conversation with one of the guides about diabetes in their culture, and they said that a lot of people they know get diabetes, and I assume type 2 because type 1 goes under the radar, which is very dangerous. And unfortunately, a lot of people pass away outside of the Western culture because they just don't get diagnosed with type 1 like we do in the States here. And those who have type 2 diabetes, in Tanzania, they can go to the doctors and have to pay $2, which is a lot of money, just to get one blood sugar reading on a glucometer. So never mind about CGMs, never mind about what they're supposed to do, which is tracking their blood glucose. They have to go maybe once a week to get one blood sugar reading. I mean, that's stuff we're talking about like back in the 50s, 60s, 70s with type 1 in the States. So just side point. Let's kind of steer this back in the direction of the hike itself. So now we have the food and the understanding of the food. It was definitely difficult, but I found a way to manage it. You found a way to give a thumbs up when you were full, but they still forced you to eat. Either way, we were well fed. Whether it affected my blood sugars or not, we were definitely well fed. Day one, stepping foot on the mountain, we were in the rainforest part of Kilimanjaro. Define for me what the terrain was like, as well as the weather at that point.
It was really hot and humid and sticky. I think was the terrain. But what was lovely about it was that we were already we started at like 5,000 feet, which was so lovely because bugs were starting to not be in existence. So it was hot, humid, sticky with no bugs, which was great. But it was very dense forest. Monkeys were in the trees. There was flowers. It's very beautiful rainforest. We were on pretty like steep ramp kind of most of the first day. It was a pretty big incline, but it was like comfortable because it was warm out and that. But then we did hit some pretty rough downpour rains that day.
The iconic torrential.
It was really fun at first. You're like, yeah, cool. I'm hiking in the rain in Africa. Like it just was like, this is fun. And then you were like, ooh, I'm soaked. And you just had to keep going and you're just really wet. And then it gets really sticky. And you still got like 5 more miles.
I think that was my concern, was like, we also didn't bring ponchos or bag
Our rain
ponchos.
gear was not great rain gear. Like we
We
weren't
had rain
prepared.
jackets,
We
but
did, but they weren't like prepared to cover our backpacks. Like they weren't prepared to like really cover. They weren't raincoats for that level of rain.
yeah. Yeah, I think that was the first point I was concerned of, like, oh, will my gear dry out? And I mean, granted, we did see warmer weather up until the top, but it was a question that night of like, am I going to freeze with wet clothes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it ended up being fine, and it did not continue raining when we got to camp. So we got to a higher elevation that
Yeah, it seemed
didn't
like
have as much rain.
it was a very like the mountain was on a set schedule.
Yeah.
So every day it rained during the same couple of hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then it didn't. It was like the afternoon storms, kind of like Florida in the summer, I
Yeah.
guess, is the best comparison.
But they didn't go like above a certain elevation, really.
Yeah, we got above the storms.
Yeah.
On to day 2 and day 3, we exited the rainforest and entered an area that's called the moorland. Basically, like the vegetation just kind of, to me, that was the most far out vegetation because you had trees that were like a blend between a cactus and a rainforest tree. You had flowers blooming, you had waterfalls. It was really cool. I do think that was the day that most felt like the terrain that we know back home, like New Hampshire level trails, where it was rocky and steep, and straight up, but also beautiful and gorgeous at the same time.
I feel like you could really tell the terrain difference between day 1 and then the rest of the entire climb. Like, think post day 1, it was like you're completely out of the rainforest. There's no rainforest. There's no trees. If they are, they're like shrubby trees.
Yeah.
They're not like dense trees.
Because Kilimanjaro is the only mountain on the planet that goes through 5 different ecosystems. The bottom being where the farm was and kind of cultivated at the moment, so it's not really what it used to be. So they don't really give it a name other than the agricultural section of Kilimanjaro. And then you have the rainforest is the second section. The third section, like I said, is the moorland. The fourth section is the high alpine desert. And then the fifth section is around the summit area. The glacier top or the crater rim. We have an exciting announcement about the future of T1 Determined. We are beyond thrilled to announce that we are partnering with Project Insulnation. Together, Project Insulnation and T1 Determined will be constructing T1D Backcountry Adventures. This includes overnight hiking, camping, expeditions, and trips across the country, and with hopes of growing to across the world, a type 1 diabetes specific community outreach and growth initiative. Please stay tuned for future announcements, as Project Insulnation will be helming these expeditions and trips, and T1 Determined will be capturing the content to bring you high quality podcasts and documentaries. From the transition from day 1 to day 2, I believe we started day 2 around approximately 9,000 to 10,000 feet, and we ended day 2 in around 12,000 feet, around there. So it was up and down. So we had a little more than 2,000 feet of elevation gain, but we weren't into insane altitude yet. By insane, I mean anywhere above 13,000 feet, let's call it, which is not too insane per some expert climbers, but that's levels that you haven't been to before. Your highest level before this trip was 11,500 feet. So what were you feeling like at the end of day 2?
At the end of day 2, I was feeling probably too confident.
Yeah.
I was feeling great.
Your mood was great.
I was like, this is all we're doing.
My mood was great
trip.
too.
We're just going on a casual hike. This is so nice. We're getting fed.
Yeah.
This is like great. Like there's no bugs. I don't know if you've ever gone hiking anywhere in New England. It's just bugs.
Especially in June and July.
So it was just so nice. It was like I'm going on a really cool camping trip. And it was great. It was fun. I felt great on day 2.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt, I think at that point, I was trying to calibrate my blood sugar. So the hiking was very similar to New Hampshire, or how I experienced the blood sugar levels in New Hampshire. I was just kind of like coasting through it, but I was comfortable with being a little higher. But because my blood sugar, so in society, I call it my blood sugar. I stay in a range between 70 to 150, or at least I try to. Here, I was trying to stay in a range between 100 and 250. So that threshold has just changed. I stayed within that range, but because my body was so used to a different tightness of control, I felt it. So it was almost like my body was trying to calibrate, even though we weren't at higher altitude yet.
Did you feel like you wanted to relax a little bit on what kind of foods you were going to try?
Yeah, I think before the trip, I was like, nah, you got it. This is your performance. This is your playoffs. You have to be strict. And then I was there and I was kind of like, the phrase kept on coming up a lot, Hakuna Matata. I realized, and this is a whole nother point of type 1 diabetes, I realized I was in this part of the world for the first time, experiencing a culture, experiencing new landscapes. And it's just like, I've got to try the food while I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that balance of this is my sport performance, but this is my also an opportunity to explore life in a different part of the world while we're here in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So end of day 2 was New Year's Eve.
Was it?
Not that we didn't know. Somebody wanted to stay in the tent, which we did stay in the tent because we were just tired, focused on the next day. We were all expedition mode.
I like my sleep.
Especially when it's disrupted in a tent.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the coolest thing to wake up and hear chanting.
It was cool. It was cool to think about. It was New Year's there. Like,
yeah,
I feel like we have such a different New Year's back home, and the fact that like people like now I'm going to think every New Year's people are on Kilimanjaro right now up there where I was. Like it was so cool.
And not just people native to Tanzania, but the whole world was on Kilimanjaro. You had so many different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember waking up at like, I think it was 2 or 3 a.m., getting out of the tent because I had to use the restroom. And I just stepped out and the sky was clear. There were stars out everywhere. There's nobody else out. So it was really quiet. I knew it was New Year's. And then Uhuru Peak of Kibo. So they called the mountain Kibo, which means mountain in Swahili. I just saw the summit of Kilimanjaro there staring at me down. And it wasn't a fearful stare. It was a welcoming stare.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we just got to get there, which at the time felt like, wow, we got to get there. But for some reason, just looking at it from that perspective, I was like forming that new friend that I see in summits.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. Now, day 3 objective was to climb high, sleep low, which is a nice mountaineering objective, as that's a phrase that we use. We traversed up to 15,300 feet, then back down to around 13,000 feet to sleep. What was it like going even higher than the threshold? So before this, you were at 11,500 feet was the highest threshold that you reached, but you just slept at around 12,000 feet. Now going even higher, pushing that threshold. Did you feel like you were pushing your limits at that point?
I felt so good the whole day. So good. I like kept being like, what altitude are we at? What altitude are we at? What altitude are we at? Like, what are we at? What did I get to? I just like kept anticipating that I was going to get sick. But, and so I was just continuously like shocked when he was like, oh, we're at 14. And I'm like, we're at 14. I feel so good. And so I kept being like, oh, what are we at now? He's like 14,200. And I'm like, okay, what are we at now? He's like, we're about almost like 14,800. And I was like, I still feel great. So I feel like when we could see where we were going to have lunch, what was that? What camp was that?
That I know is at
15,300. Karanga, something like that.
Yeah.
One of the camps. We could see the camp up there.
You did a good job memorizing the names because I did not.
Yeah, it was like something like that. But we were going to have lunch up there and you could see it. Like this was a part of the desert terrain where it was literally kind of just like rocks at this point. And you could see all the way over there that they were there. And it was probably like, I don't know, we probably had what, like 500 feet?
Yeah. Yeah.
To go. like
of incline? Yeah,
No.
no, just like
just like distance wise.
yeah. I'd
And
say
we
maybe
took
a
a
quarter
break.
mile.
And you were like, okay, we're at like 14.9, whatever elevation. And I'm like, okay, a little out of breath, but I'm fine. I feel like you're looking around and people are already starting to struggle. And I feel like some people are like leaning on other people or like taking extra water. And I'm like, I feel so good. And then literally you could see the camp. Between that spot where we took water in the camp, I hit a wall.
What was a straight wall?
I don't know what happened exactly when my body hit 15,000 feet. It was like, nope. I was like, I don't feel good. I started to feel like so heavy when I was like getting there, and I was like, wow, I really don't feel right. And I was like, I feel really sick. And I feel like as soon as I stopped, like I just like kept moving and pushing through it and pushing through it. And then I feel like we took our picture at the sign, and I was like, I really don't feel like, so I feel really dizzy. Like I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it to the tent. Like I really don't feel good. And I just remember sitting in that tent being like, something is so wrong. Like it was the weirdest motion sick. I get motion sickness, so I like know what motion sickness felt like. But it was the most grounded motion sickness I could ever
think that's
experience.
the best way to explain it. Is you got motion sickness, but you're on the ground and you're not in a plane.
Yes.
Or on a roller coaster.
Yes. And so thankfully we were going back down. But it was kind of this like uncomfortable, like, well, what do I do? Is it going to go away?
Yeah.
How do I deal with this? Because it doesn't just go away if you don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So
I think the whole mood changed at that point of like, wow, this mountain is affecting you, and it's also affecting me. I remember that was the day I got the highest blood sugar reading. Now I usually have basal on board, and I try not to hike with bolus on board, but that was a point where I had to give a bolus on the way down to bring my blood sugar back into the range. It spiked to like around 300, a little higher than 300 milligrams per deciliter, which I wanted to be below that 250 range, which still was high for me. So not only was I uncomfortable with the new threshold that I had, but I was going higher than that threshold, and I just felt horrible. That was also the highest point I've ever been at. I think I was definitely feeling horrible due to the type 1 diabetes, but I also think the altitude was coming into play too. As much as I don't want to admit it, that was the highest I've ever been at. So we weren't feeling good at the end of day 3.
No. And then I wasn't going to take the altitude sickness medication because it's better if you do it. It was like better if you do it like at night, and I wasn't going to take it in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So I had to like kind of just like hold out.
Yeah.
And obviously it takes like a day. It takes a full day for it to even kick in.
Yeah. So once
even
you
if I
start
took
it,
it was not even going to do anything.
Yeah.
So I think I ended up taking like a Dramamine, which ended up not kicking in until we got to the next camp.
Were you at that point, and I don't, definitely not in a selfish way, but did you have a thought about my type 1 at that point, or were you feeling so sick that you were kind of like, oh, he's doing what he's doing, I got to focus on how I'm doing for the moment?
No, I was so sick. I was focusing on just getting back up and just like, I got to keep moving.
I can't wait for the documentary, because there's this one shot of you just sitting there and just staring straight.
Just sort of will myself to keep going. No, but I think though you weren't showing any signs of distress or that you had any issues.
Distressed person.
But I also was like, I would have known if you were having any issues, and so I would have pulled myself together if I had to.
And it's definitely, I knew you were suffering. I knew there was that mood change, but it wasn't at an alarming rate yet. I don't think we're close to any sort of cerebral or pulmonary edema.
Honestly, I was more so just bummed that I did get sick. I was really like doing good, and I got too excited, and I was just like, oh man, that sea level really gets you.
But the huge but is, we woke up the next day and there was the Barranco Wall. And that was a nice, steep, fun section that I think we both woke up with a new attitude of like, all right, we kind of feel crummy, but we knew we were going to feel a little crummy on this mountain. It's pushing us both endurance-wise and altitude-wise. How was that? The beginning of day 4, man, was probably one of my favorite days, just view-wise, hiking-wise, attitude-wise. How was that for you?
I think day 4, I woke up with a headache, but then as soon as I got up, I felt better. It was just like right when I was waking up. I I think that was the first morning we woke up and was like completely frosted over.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that was the first cold morning that we woke up to that was like cold.
Yeah.
But climbing the Bronco Wall was like super cool. I feel like that was really fun. I feel like we were ready. Like we were like, let's get at this. Let's scramble.
There was some people that were like struggling with the scrambling. We're like, we know scrambling. This is what we trained on.
Yeah. We were like cruising. We cruised up that wall.
We did. And then we went up and down a bit, then up again. And I thought the view from day 4 where we were camping at night was gorgeous. On one side, you saw the summit of Kilimanjaro. And then on the other side, you saw Moshi town and all the lights of the Tanzanian cities. And it was cool.
Yeah. I think you started to see some like cooler views that weren't just of like rolling hills of the rainforest. Like you were seeing like way farther.
Yeah.
And like different parts of the mountain.
At that point, we were on the edge of the moorland and the high alpine desert, kind of in that transition period where we're still in the moorland, but there was less vegetation and you could look up and see the high alpine desert.
Yeah. I think this is also a big part of the climb where you start to see a lot of people fade. I think in terms of you, at the beginning, I feel like when we passed people, everyone was like so happy, so cheerful. And this is the part where I feel like really people are starting to, you're passing people and you're like, it's okay, like keep going, like you're going to do okay.
Yeah.
Like when people start to feel
that's
great.
the point where you're in it for a couple days.
Yeah.
We're at 14,000 feet. And I should have said this earlier, but I'm glad I'm saying it now, is we did climb the Machame Route, which is a 7-day route. So this is the point where people they're in it. This is middle of the game.
And we're seeing people of all ages.
Yeah.
Like all ages, really.
Yeah. It's really cool and inspiring. Base camp, that's the one camp I know the name of, which is the launching pad for the summit push. We got to on day 5, but 2 base camp was also one of my favorite parts because then I was like, all right, now I feel like we're in a California Death Valley because we entered the desert area or like walking on Mars. It was definitely a different world. You could tell we were getting higher up just because, I've been out at Denali Base Camp in Alaska, and you could tell that when you're above trees and you're out of the vegetation, the sun kind of hits differently because the sun has nowhere else to go but hit you right in the face. I've definitely felt that in Alaska, and I felt that in the high alpine desert.
There was definitely, as a female, less places to go to the bathroom.
Less rocks.
Less
the rock,
rocks.
you had to find the rocks.
There were less things. It was only just desert.
Which is funny because that's the stuff I don't think about, Yeah.
It was an experience.
And none of our guides were female as well, so there was no relating within our little group, which was you and I and our guides.
Yeah. But we made do. We figured it out. It was fine.
I think the best part is how respectful everybody just was on the mountain. Even though there was language barrier, I think everybody was just really genuinely happy to be there, ready to put in work, but very enthusiastic at the same time.
I will say, this was good because that's the purpose, but I think I drank the most water I have ever drank in my entire life.
So you had to go to the bathroom a lot.
I did. So I did have to have that constant thought, where am I going to go? But I do think like, when we've gone on other trips, we've hiked so many places. I have never done such a good job of like tracking my water and actively drinking 5 liters a day. Not like just 5 water bottles, but 5 full liters of water in a full day.
It was a lot.
And I feel like they obviously are tracking for safety purposes. They're a guide company. Like they want to make sure you're drinking enough. But because we were tracking, I feel like I was like, well, I got to get my 5. I got to at least get 4.5.
Like, I got to get the steps in.
I got to keep drinking. Yeah. Like, I got to drink. Like, we were like, how much water did you drink? I'm like, I'm already at 4.
I remember we were doing like a vital test at the beginning and end of the day, and it was like a competition of like, who's doing better? And it's just like, how much water did you drink? And we were both shocked with how much... I was shocked with your answer. When you were like 4.5 liters, I was like, you never drink. I have to argue with you at home to drink water.
Like, it was just crazy how, maybe it was just the altitude we're at and the environment that just made us drink more, but it was kind of crazy.
Now, speaking about the grinding, putting in work, the summit push, probably the most difficult thing either of us have done. Day 5 was the big day.
Mm-hmm.
We went to bed, I believe it was 6 p.m. at night. We woke up at 11 p.m. at night.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 hours of sleep, if you call it sleep.
It was a nap.
Yeah, I dreamt. So I got a little bit of sleep.
And I shut my eyes and woke up and it was...
I remember waking up and opening my eyes and being like, I'm ready, and just turning over and you're just like, no, not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I was ready. I just wasn't immediately ready.
I think a lot were, I mean, at least for me, there was a little bit of nerves going on with how my blood sugar would do, because I'm like 15,000 feet. Okay, I've been to 14,508 feet, Mount Whitney, a couple of times to that level. And 15,000 feet wasn't that much higher. I remember waking up with a little bit of a headache and being like, all right, this is not that bad. I remember my blood sugar actually doing good during the sleep. And I woke up around 150. And then a couple minutes later, the cortisol hit and rose it to 180. I'm like, this is a good starting number for me to hike at. But I was kind of nervous of like, hey, what happens when I get to 17,000 feet, 18,000 feet, 19,000 feet? That's just a point I've never been to before. And it's like I had all these theories. I've known people with type 1 who have climbed Kilimanjaro, who've climbed higher, climbed even Everest, or been up to 23,000 feet. But it was just like, this was a first time for me.
Mm-hmm.
As well as you, even without type 1. So it was just kind of scary of like, for my own body, going into the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel right before we started that summit push?
I think I felt a little nervous, just knowing that I knew it was going to be rough.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did know that I was taking the Diamox at this point for a day and a half.
Yeah.
So I was like, I knew I had a cushion, but also I feel like even though you kept telling me that I'm not going to get cerebral edema, I was like, am I going to die? No. But you know.
Well, the chance is there, but it significantly increases above 23,000 feet and significantly more increases above 26,000 feet into the death zone. So we're at a relatively safe area, but I mean, it was still the percentage chance, like it exists. It wasn't zero.
Yes. So didn't want to be that one in a million.
We took oxygen with us.
Yes.
Didn't use it, but it was for emergency situations.
I felt good at midnight. It was a little weird only having like a nap and then getting up and it's dark out. I'd actually never really hiked in the dark like that. And it was a different kind of cold. I mean, we're used to being in the cold up here, but it was like an air cold that I wasn't used to, not just a temperature cold, like the air was cold. So that was kind of a different cold that I wasn't used to hiking in. But I feel like we started strong.
Yeah.
I feel like we were ready.
Yep.
We had our pep talks.
Yeah. A little huddle.
Yeah.
We had a little prayer session, which I thought was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I
think the guide did that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Not even initiated by me, which you thought would think
Yeah,
it would be initiated, but they initiated it. It's funny that you said how much water we were drinking with how difficult, how cold that. So I'll kind of take a step back and say we're going from base camp to the crater rim, and the point at that crater rim is Stella Point, and we're going from 15,000 feet to, I believe Stella Point is like right at 18,800 or 900 or possibly 19,000 feet. I don't know exactly, but it's within that threshold. So we're inclining almost the full 4,000 feet within a very, I believe it was like less than 2.5 mile span. And we were very uncomfortable because it was very cold and it was dark out because we started around 12:30 a.m. Going back to the water, were you drinking as much water?
No. I feel like it took us, so we started at midnight.
Yeah.
After we ate breakfast and then actually started hiking at midnight. We did not get to the summit until 6:30. So 6.5 hours we were climbing 6.5 hours. And I'm thinking about a normal climb day that we were doing. And we were probably hiking for like 6 hours the day before.
Yeah.
And we drank 4 liters.
Yeah.
And we climbed the 6.5 hours. And
Both
I
of us were
maybe
not drinking
drank
as much.
an eighth of a liter.
Yeah.
Because it was so cold. We weren't taking breaks. I feel like you didn't want to drink because it was so cold.
Mhm.
Your water was so cold. And we had the like protective sleeves to keep it from freezing, but it was still like ice water.
Yeah. No, it was very, very cold water, which I think deterred you from drinking it a lot.
And I think we started like half hot water, half cold. Like we weren't even, it started out as hot water, basically.
Yeah.
And it's still just like, that just shows how cold it was. And I feel like we did not want to take, like we didn't want to stop, really.
No.
Which it was kind of hard to drink with the water bottles we had while
Because we're going
walking.
very slow. So we were already going slow. So stopping would have gotten us cold. And we didn't want to get cold. I remember to a point where I was like, I needed to stop to measure my blood sugar manually, just to make sure that I had 3 continuous glucose monitors on my body. I actually wore the Dexcom G7 10-day sensor, the Dexcom G7 15-day sensor, and the Dexcom G6 sensor, which at the end of the day, the G6 won. A different conversation for a different time. But the G7 10-day sensor failed on me. So I had the 15-day sensor and the G6 sensor, and I just wanted to make sure they were accurate, which it was somewhere in between when I manually used my glucometer. But that was a point where, to get back from this long-winded sidetrack, is I needed to stop to focus on my type 1 diabetes. And you were like, we don't need to stop. We need to keep going.
I'm just like, how dare you stop? We cannot stop. I didn't say that. I just glared.
Oh, yeah.
I just
A
glared.
glare is worth
like,
1,000
And
words.
he's like, can you please move quicker? I feel like they also kept being like, do you need to eat? Do you need a snack? And I was like, I don't want anything.
I was like, you need to eat.
I know. I was like, I don't want to eat. I just want to keep going. I just want to keep going.
And to that point, even with my blood sugar, due to stress, I wasn't eating a lot. I was at 180 and I had a little bar and then also a little bit of their French toast, which was your French toast, because I was eating my own breakfast, and my blood sugar was at like 200. It was going up like 220, bouncing around 200. And I was like, this is a good level for me. I don't want to eat, but I haven't eaten anything. And now it's been 2, 3, 4 hours and I haven't eaten much at all. My blood sugar is staying flat. So it's kind of a point of like, well, do I need to eat? Because I need the energy. So my blood sugar is high due to other reasons of stress hormones and whatnot and dehydration, but I still need food. And all I had with me was trail snacks that had carbohydrates in them. So is that like, I think we both weren't eating the energy that we needed at that point.
And then at some points we would have to slow down or we would stop, not because of us, but because we got bottlenecked.
Yeah.
And there's only really one path up.
Yeah.
And we were a small group comparatively. I feel like most groups were at least like 5 to 10 people in a group. And with all experience, like skill levels, so different paces. And it was like harder to like move around them because of the rocks. So, and it was dark, so you couldn't really go off trail.
Yeah, nobody really stepped off trail either. No, I mean, I don't think anybody was intentionally doing that, but we definitely did pass a couple groups. And like when a massive group stopped, we passed them and then we had to take a break, but we didn't want to take a break because the massive group was right behind us. So we kept pushing a little further. I don't know. To me, getting on that like intense, steep incline towards Stella Point, not getting to Stella Point, was that last quarter mile where you know Stella Point is close, but it's not close enough. That was the most difficult part.
It was. I swear. It was like 4 hours of like, you can see Stella Point. It's right there. And I was like, I'm never going to see Stella Point. Like, I'm on this like weird, like circle trail that's just never going to let me stop. And I'm just going to keep going. You know?
It felt like we're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Or like a void.
I was just in a matrix that just like kept going. And I was like, that's really nice. It's not getting closer. Like I have taken And you're like, it's right there. And I'm like, it's really not.
Yeah. The famous worst lie you can tell anybody. It's right there.
And I was like, it's really not. Like, I'm looking at it and it's not getting closer.
But then we got there. We eventually got there.
We did. I think that was like the craziest part right there. Was just like, that was the craziest push.
What was it like getting to Stella Point? Knowing it wasn't the summit yet.
Stella Point, and I was like, it was like that concept of like you're running on a treadmill and you suddenly stop and you get off the treadmill and you're like, whoa, that is how I felt when I got up to Stella Point. I was like, oh, I literally cannot breathe. I can't breathe. I cannot breathe up here. Slight panic of like, oh, wait, no, I really can't breathe. And then because we stopped, I then got really, really, really cold because we still were going higher. So it was colder the higher we got. So I was still getting colder. I feel like I kind of got to Stella Point and was like, my body like shut down.
I remember the guys were asking if you want water, and I jumped in and I was like, yes, she needs water. Not hot water, because they had insulated hot water. She needed some sort of lukewarm, not freezing water. But I was also like, she needs layers. And I just ripped out my puffy jacket and was like, put it around you. And then you actually never took off that puffy jacket.
I was like, this is my puffy jacket now.
Which in a couple minutes you sat down, you had the puffy jacket on, you rehydrated, and then you were just like, I'm not
ate
good.
Something too. I think I ate something.
Good enough to go.
I did feel better with some food and water.
Yeah.
Survival things.
Yeah,
food, water,
and that was a thing I was struggling with too. Was like my blood sugar was, at that point, I was in the unknown, but my blood sugar was doing what it was doing. So I've been there for a couple hours.
Really feel like looking back, like you seemed so totally fine that I was like, I don't even need to worry because he literally seems perfectly fine.
I think I got good at Stella Point.
Yeah.
I think Stella Point was the part where I was like, okay, nothing new is going to happen to me.
It's crazy because my body shut down. It was like, you've reached your max altitude.
It could have been the adrenaline, being so excited, knowing that in theory they told us that we were so close to the summit of Kilimanjaro. That ramp upwards from Stella Point to Uhuru Peak, which is
close.
The true summit, we were told was going to be around 45 minutes. It wasn't. We definitely went pole, slowly.
I couldn't even go faster if I wanted to.
It was a step. At the same time, though, the sun was about to rise and you could start to see stuff, which I thought was cool. I could see Mawenzi. So in my mind, I just remember you look like an astronaut and you're just going step. And I was like, is she okay? Cool view. Is she okay? Cool view. Am I okay? Check blood sugar. Am I okay? Cool view. And then that was literally, my mind was just bouncing around. And we were just like, I knew at that point I could get there. And I also knew you would get there. It was just the fact of us getting there together.
This is like the best way to put this, is that I was a big marshmallow and I was walking and I was moving so slowly and my brain was like, take a step, take another one. You can do it. Just take another one. Just take another one. And it wouldn't move. Like my brain was moving normal speed, but my body was moving in slow motion. And he was just running circles around me. Like that is what it felt like. That you were just literally running around me and that you were moving so fast. And I was like, I can't move faster. I think I started out up that ramp, which the ramp didn't really start until maybe like halfway there. Then you really got to a ramp, but it was kind of just like flat until you got halfway there. So I felt really good. And I feel like we were moving for the first part. And then as soon as we got to the ramp, for some reason, at 19,000 feet, I like could not go up anymore. Like my body was like, oh no elevation.
But you still had I think you talked about this earlier, it was like, you still wanted to continue.
I did. My brain was like, keep going, like one more step, one more step.
Because I remember, like, I don't think I ever asked to turn around, but I think I remember being like, are you okay? And your response to me was just like, I'm going to get there. Like there was no other option in your mind.
Yeah.
And you were good enough. It definitely was an emergency situation, but it was a questioning of, would we ever get to that emergency situation? But we were very close.
No, I feel like I just was like so heavy and so out of breath.
Yeah.
And it was just like I was carrying 1,000 pounds. Like that is what it felt like.
Like more weight.
But I was like, no, I'm going to make it. Like I'm going to keep going. Like I'm not like my tank's not empty. It's
just going to take slower.
Was just
You're
like,
in a different
like
gear
you kept
at that
being like,
point.
move fast. Like you were like, you didn't say move faster, but you were like, just keep going. And I was like, I am. Like I'm going. Like this is it.
It's like Zootopia in the sloth scene.
Literally, I was like, I swear, like I'm trying. And I feel like the guide was like all the way up there, and he was like walking backwards.
They were bouncing around.
Yeah,
he was doing like backflips on.
I was like, sir, I'm trying. And I feel like I was like, nope, I'm gonna get there. I'm just gonna be really, really
people
slow.
that were on the way down, and they all had a pep in their step because they've already reached it, and they're just like, "We've reached it. We're going down."
And I was like, no, I'm not gonna use poles. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna keep my backpack on me. I'm not gonna have. They kept being like, "Do you want me to take your bag?" And I was like, no, I have made it with my backpack this entire time. I'm going with my backpack, with my body. I'm getting there. By my body itself.
We did the entire climb without any hiking poles.
Mm-hmm.
I think we knew that we were on a guided trip and we wanted to add an extra level of difficulty. We have massive respect for guides, but we just wanted to add that level kind of, I think, to prove to ourselves that endurance-wise, we're not being pushed up the mountain, that we're going up on our own accord, but we are still being guided up the mountain. But we can do it due to our own endurance, not because we're being tugged up there.
Mm-hmm.
I also had a very heavy pack. I had my whole Blackmagic pocket camera, which I was too afraid to take out on the summit. So I just recorded with the small camera in my pocket. But I did bring out the cinder block of a camera in my bag, just in case I wanted to take it out up there.
Mm-hmm.
The crater rim on one side and Africa on the other. Mm-hmm. How did the view?
It was absolutely beautiful.
Once the sun came up and we were close to the summit at that point.
Yeah, it was definitely, the sun was up. We could see again. It was getting warmer for sure. I couldn't really appreciate the view as like you really saw the sunrise, and I feel like I was too dizzy to look around.
Yeah.
So I saw the sunrise. I acknowledged that it was beautiful, but it's a little blurry for me. And I feel like on the way down, I feel like I got to appreciate more how high we were.
Yeah.
And like...
You started coming back too.
I got to see the glaciers on the way down, and I thought the glaciers were super cool.
Before we get to the way down, because I mean, it is all a blur when I try to rethink of all the memories in my mind, but one memory I won't forget is actually finally getting to the summit, holding hands, and then a famous summit kiss. And just getting there as a newlywed couple. A dream of mine that you turned into your dream. I know what the summit meant to me. It was just a culmination of so many years. I remember my childhood dog, Angel, when she was passing away and we had to put her down, I promised her that I would get to the tops of the summits, just the tops of the worlds. I promised her I would get to the tops of the worlds. I didn't really know what that meant. I was in high school and I was just like, I was so bummed out that she didn't get to see what a summit is like, that I made this promise to her that she will be with me, and everywhere I go, she will see with me what tops of the worlds will be like. And Kilimanjaro is the top of Africa. I've dreamed about it since being a little kid and first watching The Lion King and having it in the background. And then just my hiking dreams just kind of grew, and I wanted to get to the 7 summits. So it was my first of the 7 summits. And just being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in the hospital, reading Ed Viester's No Shortcut to the Tops, and then being out in Alaska and climbing Mount Rainier, and just knowing what Kilimanjaro is in the mountaineering world and just on the planet in general, doing that with the love of my life. And just also, as much during that time period of being diagnosed and being lost, I was searching for life on top of mountains. I was also searching for love. And I found both. and they merged right on the summit. I mean, the two sections of my life that are most important to me is loving family and growing a family and exploring an adventure and just taking advantage of being on this planet for the time that we're here. And all of that came, and to me, that was what the summit was. Sorry, I apologize. That was a wordful. And you don't have to be as elaborate as me, but what was that summit to you, Uhuru Peak?
I think I have never seen a mountain summit and cried. I really haven't. Never done that. But this one, for some reason, I don't know if it was out of just like exhaustion or relief, or I don't know what it was, but I saw the summit and I literally started crying. I don't know, out of just like happiness to be done. Going vertical. But I started crying a little bit and was like, oh my gosh, like, why are you so emotional? But it was just like so cool to like get to be so high up on a summit and do something really, really hard. And like know that you can do really, really hard things and be okay. And like make it out on the other side and be better for it. And go through really cool experiences together. Like it was really cool.
I definitely think it was really cool. I'll never forget it. My blood sugar was actually doing okay. I think I was between 180 and 200 milligrams per deciliter, and I knew my blood sugar would start to react differently on the way down. That being said, most accidents happen on the way down. I think the way down was a little bit sketchy. We went a different way down than we did up, so we literally just went straight down like a slide, and it was all sandy and it wasn't rocky. And it was fast.
The way down messed up my knees.
Oh, yeah.
Messed up my knees.
Like step and slide 5 feet, step and slide 5 feet.
You're just like, and I think that final day, we went up and then we went down. I hit 45,000 steps. 45,000. Not 4,500.
3 miles.
45,000.
3 miles times 2 is what, around 6 miles in total? And then we continued down. We had lunch at base camp. Everybody cheered. We had a little celebration, had more coffee, continued going down to about, what, were we at 7,000 feet we ended at?
I think so. We went real low.
So we started at 15,000.
Like
we went to a little above 19,000, around 19,300. Then we went down to like 9,000, 7,000 feet, somewhere in between there.
Yes. All in one day.
All in one day. That was a tough day.
My knees took it on the way down, for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember I love going down, and then that was actually the time period, like the point in time where my blood sugar started to go back into my normal threshold. I was like, all right, I've been at the summit. I don't have to have the cap at 250. I can bring it back down to 150. And by the end of that day, I was literally at 100 dropping, so I could eat popcorn without giving any insulin, which was awesome. And it stayed steady and flat. I think I slept that night at 110, which was like the best night on the mountain. But I remember that gave me so much excitement that I was just like sprinting down to where we're ending for the day, and I would stop and turn and look, and you'd be like 300 feet behind me.
Just limping. But no major injuries, though. Just knee soreness and the pounding of the going gravity.
And it's interesting how we had two different focuses of one person living with type 1 diabetes and one person not, trying to achieve the same objective. And we both had different difficulties. And it was in two different ways, because you just don't hike as much as me, but it's not your goal. But you still trained for this, and then you still did it. We faced those obstacles differently, but we still accomplished that same goal. I thought that's cool.
You trained so hard physically so that blood sugar wise, if anything went wrong or you had to do, your body could physically compensate, and you didn't have to worry about the altitude, and you didn't have to worry about the physical feat of it as much, because you already had. So for me, because I didn't have the load, I feel like my biggest tackle was the physical part.
Yeah. I definitely, not that you didn't train as hard as me, but I had the time to allocate for more training.
I did not train as hard as you.
and you trained hard enough, obviously, to make the summit. But I do think I tried to overtrain for this mountain so I could focus so diligently on my blood sugar. I do think that's a mission I'm also trying to push out there to people. So like, if you overtrain for something, that allows you the ability to then focus on what would normally be a setback, type 1 diabetes. But here, now that I am physically prepared for Kilimanjaro, I can handle how bad I felt because of my fluctuating blood glucose levels.
And I think for whatever next mountain we do,
you're jumping ahead. I like it.
I absolutely am going to overtrain, because I do regret not being able to appreciate the summit as much as I could have, because I didn't feel as good as I wanted to. And therefore, because I didn't train as hard, my kind of experience on the top kind of was different than what it should have been. So,
well, you still made it. You still had an experience. I don't think any experience should be different, because it's the one that you ended up having at the end of the day.
I agree. But next time,
there's lessons learned.
Next time,
with everything. Before we get into what's next for you, what's next for us,
what is next?
let's talk about the safari real quickly. How was that transition? I don't know. To me, we flew into the Serenora Valley of the Serengeti and finally felt like a honeymoon. Even though we were at like a tented area with no fences, so the wildlife could literally enter whenever they wanted to. It was a luxury tent compared to the mountain. We did experience bugs. Talk to me a little bit about the safari.
The safari was absolutely wonderful. Anyone who is going to do Kilimanjaro, I recommend doing a safari as well while you're over there. It was absolutely the coolest experience. Also, if you do the climb first, you're roughing it a little bit, you're walking a lot, and then you get to sit for like 5 days in a car and just
amazing.
sit.
I don't think I minded
lovely.
that I was in a car for like 9 hours.
My knee got to heal. It was like the best for my knee. My knee got to recover immediately.
The animals were beautiful.
The animals were so cool. The food was not as good. It was still impeccable. I will say it was still like a 5-star hotel.
But it had to be shipped out a little. It wasn't as fresh,
but it wasn't
had to be
as
shipped
fresh.
out a little further.
And it wasn't as homemade. You could tell like our chef on the mountain was like homemade making these. So, but anyway, safari was unbelievable. So cool. It was so incredible to see the different parts of Africa. Where we were just coming from was such different terrain, such different people, such different culture, such different environments. And then I feel like you got out to the safari portion and it was just like a whole different Africa. Yeah.
No, it's definitely cool. It was the part of the Africa that was like the Lion King. Even though it was kind of different. The vegetation was kind of different. In my mind, I think I said out loud, is like, we're in a plains area. We go from a mountain area to a plains. I was like, if you took a snapshot right here, we could be in Kansas. But that tree looks like the tree from the Lion King, so I know we're in Africa. Yeah. And there was and I was like, there is no wildebeest in Kansas.
It was just like you could see for so far.
Yeah.
So for so far. And you just knew, just keep going.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy.
It felt forever. Yeah. It felt like we were in some sort of, again, a vortex, but like it literally felt like we're in a place that was forever.
Yeah.
And the animals, we saw lions, elephants, giraffes, everything. We saw lions eating wildebeests. It was cool.
Hippos.
Yeah.
Baboons. Leopards.
Yeah. Hanging in the
Zebras.
Tree.
Flamingos, ostrich, storks. We saw babies of everything.
Yeah. Baby baboon was probably my favorite because they were so cute.
The baboons were kind of scary.
Yeah, adult baboons are kind of scary.
Only animal
but the baby baboons had like the cute little, like, you know.
No, they were cute, but they were like the only animal that you're like, whoa, are they going to jump on the car? Like every other animal kind of ignored you.
Yeah, even the lions, we'd drive close up to the lions and they would just be lazy because it was the middle of the day.
Yeah, but the baboons were a little like, they could come at you.
No prediction of what they're going to do. Now, being a support to a type 1 diabetic, having done an adventure like this, I think you're an amazing example of how to be a support to those with type 1 diabetes. And I think our audience can learn so much from you. I really do. What would you say to a type 1 diabetic support just about living with a type 1 diabetic?
I think I would share with other type 1 diabetic support teams that try to learn what they need and how they need it, and just understand where they come from on pretty much everything diabetes-wise. And, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I feel like that was what helped me understand, was that I was like, well, like, he would explain or he would inject himself. And I'm like, well, why did you inject yourself then?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just asking, like, if they're okay with sharing with you. But obviously, I think just knowing when and why you did stuff was just super helpful in understanding, like, how you manage your type 1. Everyone manages everything differently. So that's why it's helpful to understand what's personal to them and what their goals with type 1. Not everyone has the same goals, too.
Mm-hmm.
I think learning their goals really helps you put in perspective, okay, well, what's important? Like, is their food important? I also think I would recommend that you really give them the space to let them do whatever they need to do. I think you have already had so much pressure, so much things to calculate always, so many things you're thinking about. You use like 17 timers all at the same time. Like, you needed a space and an energy that I was there with you.
Yeah.
But you knew that you could do whatever you needed to do to, like, manage and get it done and, like, help yourself if you needed to.
Thank you for that. I think that's extremely important information, and I may be a little bit biased or not, because I do think you follow what you just said absolutely perfectly. And for me, living with type 1 diabetes, you have gifted me a safe space to be myself, and what that means to me, and what I think other type 1 supports can take away from you and type 1 diabetics is you give me the ability to then be myself. Because if I can manage this condition, then I'm not just my condition. If I can manage this condition, then I can be the human being that stepped foot on Kilimanjaro during the honeymoon with his brand new wife. I can be the human being running and training for the Vermont 50 miler. It's like I can go after my goals and my dreams. So you're allowing me to conquer type 1. You're not allowing type 1 to conquer me. So I just want to say thank you.
Very welcome.
And again, I might be a little bit biased now.
I also might be too.
But I mean, it's biased until the data shows. I don't like to advertise my A1C on this podcast, but it is extremely low, to the point of you look at my blood levels on paper and I'm not a type 1 diabetic. And that is directly due to the life that we have created and your support.
Do we have the same A1C?
Yes, we do. We do. I don't want to specifically say it. I might put it out there in the documentary in my upcoming book. We'll put those thoughts aside, but we do have the same A1C at the moment, in a good way. Yeah, I don't think you have a high A1C. So, Katerina, my love, are you ready for Aconcagua?
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's do Aconcagua.
I'm down.
Feels a little scary, but that's okay.
It's a little step up.
We made it to Kilimanjaro.
Exactly.
What's it, only like 4,000 more feet?
Yeah. Yep. In theory. We've done a house. We got married. Yeah. We've done a lot. So I think Aconcagua, not that it'll be a breeze, but it'll be done.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited for you to start training for that.
I will train harder this time and take Diamox at 15,000 feet.
It's prepared this time. Well, I just want to say again, thank you so much for being so open. We went into a lot of details about Kilimanjaro. I'd like to take a moment now to announce that we do have a documentary that is in the works about Kilimanjaro, a full-blown documentary that is going to be a full feature film, which is really awesome. I'm excited. It's coming this year. A lot of work is being done on it, and we dive a lot deeper into what we talked about today. We got into details today, but we dive a lot deeper in our documentary, and people can also see the visuals that correspond with it, both in video, photo, interviews. We get testimonials of you and I actually on a mountain, how we feel in real time rather than reflecting on it. So I'm excited for the world to see that. And it's a huge conversation piece about living healthy with type 1 and also having a support system with type 1 diabetes. To that point, I think you're an impeccable support system. Again, I'm going to be biased, but not only did you bring out your true self today, but you brought out an amazing story of conquering goals with and without chronic condition. And you showed, I think, our audience a beautiful way of how to be somebody who doesn't have a chronic condition, but is still affected by the chronic condition. So an all-encompassing, huge thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting your support.
Yeah. Make sure you support your supports, type 1s. That's it. I love you very much.
I love you very much too. We killed it.
Thank you, Katerina, for sitting down and talking with me today. You represent a population that is still directly affected by a chronic condition even without being diagnosed yourself. You carry the weight and help me through the ups and downs of type 1 diabetes and life in general. Stay tuned for our upcoming documentary on our Kilimanjaro climb, T1D Kili, a Honeymoon Adventure, coming this autumn 2026. For all our content, please visit T1Determined.net. Connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at T1D_Endurance, and on Facebook and YouTube at T1Determined. Please also like and subscribe, and you can leave up to a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Until next time, keep pushing your limits. I hope this helps. Stay strong, stay determined. T1 Determined.